That's not how long I'm going to stand up here and preach, though I need to. Not how long I'm going to live. We don't even have that hours in the day. You know? So what does it mean? 168 hours. See, a lot of us say we don't have anything to do, Junior. I don't know what to do. You ever heard somebody say, I ran out of time? You know, no one can ever say they ran out of time because dead people can't talk. They're the only ones who run out of time. Well, I ain't have enough time to do this. Well, you know, I'm going to dispel that today. You see, I'm going to dispel it today. 168 hours. Let's break it down. It's going to be short today. I can make it longer, but it's going to be short. It's the last day of the week. I'm going to be nice today. Let's see, one say, yeah, one say, take your time. So let's split it in the difference here. 168 hours to what? To do something. See, after today, you ain't going to never come up and say, bro, I don't have anything to do. And I'm going to say, well, let's go back to my sermon, 168 hours. All right, let's break this thing down. All right? So time is always going to be flipping, turning. It's perpetual until God says it's not. Whether you're living or dying, time is going to move on. From those who are dead, time stops. So truly they can say, if they could, that I ran out of time. But you're living. And the motion of time is continuing. I know. You know, don't you? One day, I saw a picture, you had black hair one time. Time did that. Time did it. I won't say Sister Russian did that to you, but, you know, you get stressed. So I'm going to be nice and say time did that to you. Those without hair, time did that to you. Yeah. Creases and lines in your face, time that did it to you. Unless you were just born looking old. You know, time did it. And it's going to continue to tick. If you're gone, it's going to continue to tick. When you and I have passed on, it's going to continue to tick. But guess what? While you're alive, you have time to do something. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at this. Break this thing down here. All right. All those who have been in school, you know, one of the first things they teach you was how to tell time. You had them big old clocks. Then they tell our parents to go buy some paper plates and then make some clocks out of them. And then you had to learn how to tell time. See, some of y'all young ones don't know that because y'all had digital watches. Back in the day, we didn't have nothing called digital. No computers or nothing. Yeah. And so 24 hours, one day comprises of 24 hours. And y'all know I talk about my bus. To be able to see where I'm going, you got to stay on the bus now. So ride along with me here. 24 hours. One day comprises of 24 hours. All right. So God gives you 7 of those days in 1 week. So 7 days comprises of 1 week. That's how you get 168 hours in 1 week. You see how much time you got right there? 168 hours to do something. Yeah. So I'm already messing you up when you say, I don't have time. All right, let's break it down a little bit because, see, some of y'all smart. You say, well, preacher, I know, but I messed up this week. Now, I said, well, hold on now. Hold on, son. I got 51 more for you to get something done so that you won't have to end up on the last day of the year like today and say you couldn't do anything. You didn't have anything to do. Or I didn't do anything this year. You got 51 more weeks if you mess up the first one. Taking all that excuse from you right now. See, this me too. This is my sermon coming from me. Figuring that probably you do the same thing too. So you got 51 more weeks to get it right. 52 weeks comprises of 1 year. 1 year. But you say, well, preacher, if I got 168 hours, well, see, you don't really understand. I got to go to work. So I really don't have 168 hours, you know, because see, your math ain't mathing. Because they've been up to the college. Well, I've been up there to the college too, and I figured you'd say that. So guess what? I broke it on down for you a little bit more. Let's look at it. So the average work week is what? 40 hours. Now, that's average. If you want to work overtime, that's your business. But the average work week is 40 hours. Now, out of 168 hours, that leaves you with what? 128 hours to do something. Because you want to say, well, work is taking away part of that. Now, for those of you retired, you still got 168 hours to do something. So you got 128 hours left. And then you say, well, preacher, like I told you, your math ain't mathing because I got to sleep. Well, I've been up into the college too. I figured all that out for you. Yeah, you got to sleep. So let's look at this thing here. Newborn sleep, 0 to 3 months old, 14 to 17 hours a day. I hear him back there, but he be sleeping that much. He's back there. Yeah. And then you got the infant that sleeps, who's 4 to 11 months old. They sleep from 12 to 15 hours. That's a lot of sleeping to do. Almost 2/4 of a day. And then you got toddlers there. The 1 to 2 year olds. See, they going to need their 11 to 14 hours because they going to put you through the ringer when they wake up. They need that energy to chase them all around the room. Preschoolers, those are the 3 to 5 years old, 10 to 13 hours of sleep. Yeah. Notice how older you get, the less you need to sleep. The school-age children from 16 to 13 years old, 9 to 11 hours of sleep. And then you have those teenage kids. Now my middle daughter, she used a lot of sleep. And they sleep from 14 to 17-year-olds from 8 to 10 hours a day. And young adults and adults, those from 18 to 64 years old, you need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Now, if you're older than 65, I don't know how long you sleep. I don't know. But since the adults and the young adults, and that's who we're going to be focusing on, sleep from 7 to 9 hours, I'm going to give you 8. That's all you need. That's all you need. So guess what? So that's going to leave you 56 hours. See, Brother Woods, I told you I don't have time. I don't have 56 hours. Well, let's break that down some more. All right? That leaves you with 72 hours. I mean, not 56 hours, that's subtracted. That leaves you with 72 hours to do something other than sleep. But I started out with 168 hours. Now I only got 72 hours. I don't have time. I don't have enough time in a day. Well, all right, let's break it down a little bit more. 72 hours. So if you divide 72 by 7, that gives you about 10 and a half hours a day to do something. 10 and a half hours per week, every day to do something. And you gonna tell me you can't find nothing to do for 10 and a half hours? That's not the truth. Do something. See, God is watching us, and he can't stand here on Judgment Day and say, well, you couldn't find nothing to do, or I didn't have the time to do anything. He says, no, because in 2023, on the last day of the Woods broke it down for you. Yeah, I could have easily I didn't have to go through all this. I could have said you got 24 hours to do something, 8 hours to sleep, 8 hours to work, and 8 hours to do something. That's 24 hours. See, we're getting people to work in here. Everybody, listen, Brother King, I loved him. When he spoke so very well. And one of the things he said is that everybody got talents. You just need to find out what your talent is. Some people have more than one talent. You got to find out what your talent is and put it to work. What happened to the man that did not have his talent to grow? God took it away from him and cast him out. That wasn't a story about three people who were different amount of talent. That's a story for you. As the Lord is saying, do something. He says, I want some usury. I want some interest on the talents that I give you. I don't want to come back in and see the one talent that you had. You didn't even use it, but it didn't grow. We can all do something. Make your life count. You see, you don't need to die. I know it's 8 billion people. You say, well, who's going to know me? Well, you know, in the community that you live, you should be known somewhere by somebody. A pauper's grave is usually for people who are poor. Nobody even know who they are. Throw them in the grave. You know, that's what they did to Mozart. Just throw him in a pauper's grave. You should know, somebody should know you. You should have a good name that's spoken somewhere. Do something. God put man on earth for a reason, with a purpose. You just can't lounge around all day. Can't. You know, even, no, I'll say that for later. But you just can't have your children to grow up and they just laying around the house all day while you're going to work. If you're a good parent. What time you going to be back? You going to work them. Well, what time you going to be back? Why? Because I'm hungry. I want to know when you're going to come to the grocery store. Get, you know, what? You laying up in the house. The light bill, using up all the light bill and the water and all that, and they don't want to pay the bill either. Well, that ain't my house. We told ours to say, no, if you're going to live in this house, one or two things going to happen. You could do both of them and go to school or work. What it look like? We going to work while you staying up in our house watching TV all day. Some parents allow that to happen. You remember that movie Friday? You eat up all hormones. I like hormones too. But what he said and told him, he said, today the word is work. You gonna get out and get a job, boy. Those who know what I'm talking about, you see my, yeah, get a job, J-O-B, job. No, listen, he made us for a reason. We are here to, listen, I'm finna take away your excuse that you don't have nothing to do. He said, we're here to love him, to do his will, and to seek to save the lost. So no Christian should be allowed to sit in service and tell the preacher they can't find anything to do, when I just gave you 3 things to do. Love him, do his will, and to save the lost. You got stuff to do. See, if you do those 3 things and the last one, you'll be busy. Because there's millions of people to be found. Don't tell me you ain't got nothing to do. Oh, listen, Denzel Washington said it doesn't matter if you flip burgers, bricks, or houses, but just don't sit there on your bottom flipping the channels. Hustle. Do something. Sitting there flipping the channels. Just flipping. See, you say I got nothing to do, but see, you that's called, no, you don't have nothing to do. You don't want to do what we ask you to do. You don't have anything to do that you should be doing, but you're doing something, and that's called nothing. What else they call that? Wasting time. See, there's time that you can sit there and flip channels, but if your life is just wasting away, you're doing nothing. There's no progress. Yeah, it's the time to watch TV. You know, I don't usually watch TV until the end of the day, and I'm not retired now. Y'all think I'm retired? I'm semi-retired, and I didn't even retire from my job. I just quit that one to work on this one. Yeah, this job ain't free. I get paid. Why? And they expect for me to work. And so when the evening time comes, then I go watch a little TV. I say a little bit because I turn it on, and then the other hours I'm sleeping while it's watching me. Y'all know y'all do that. But you can't just sit around. You got things to do. Get something done. Make your life matter. God wants to know your name. He said, listen, the Lord said, listen, I still need some workers. He says, if you're too busy, engrossed in your self-interest, of course we won't have time for church or the lost. Because it'll be all about you. Of course you're not going to have time for anything spiritual. He says, listen, the vineyard needs a hand. The harvest is plentiful, Matthew 9:37, but the workers are few. Listen, Jesus says, I need some workers in my field. I need some workers. You got these men here, almost 70 and 80 years old out there working, spreading mulch and cutting trees down. Well, brothers, come on. There ain't nobody told them to do it. This is not their house, but they respect the Lord's house. There's always something to do. Yeah, ain't nothing for me to do, and I can't get in the church. I can't get in the church. You don't have to get in the church to do nothing. Go out there, get you a bucket and some water, and watch these windows. How about that? Free. We'll pay for the water. We're going to still pay for the water, but you're doing a service. Yeah. We need some power washing done. Yeah. There's plenty of things to do. Yeah. You don't have to wait till the preacher to get a Bible study going. You can do it. Don't you know you can get your own home study done? Just don't tell people you're the minister. Just get your own Bible study done. You can teach. Can't wait for me. I can't be everywhere at one time. Get some work done. Don't even see some of you hardly. I don't even know what you do. What do you do? I got people that come back and say, well, I've been talking to this person, that person. I say, that's great. Some people, I don't know what you do when you're off. What you do. I get a lot of phone calls from Brother Straughter. He's always preaching and teaching about it, running to somebody with questions and stuff like that. I like that. I like that. That's the kind of stuff because we out there busy. We're busy. Get something done. Yeah. Outside of your life, your church life, God has allowed you time to have a personal life, whether you're single or married. And time management is important in these areas as well. He said, look, I'm good enough to allow you to go to church. But I'm also great enough to give you time to yourself. I don't want nobody this year to ever speak these words. I forbid you to speak these words. You're preaching too long. I don't want to hear that word. Because one is the door opens and shut. And out of 1 week, how long are we here? 3. 3 out of 1 week. How many hours in a week? And we only here for what? You have no right to tell somebody you're preaching too long. You only hear 3 hours out of 168. Let me tell you something. You know what Muslims do that they're required to do in their lifetime? To Mecca. They got to take a trip to Mecca once in their lifetime. And I hope that once in your lifetime, I don't care, once in your lifetime, you need to spend the entire day listening to sermons. Now, who won't stand up here right now and say, that's wrong? That ain't right. That ain't good. You need to spend a whole day, that's your Mecca, before you die, to listen to sermons all day long. Because I'm going to tell you, the way that this world is right now, you need as much preaching as you can get to be able to tell somebody you preach too long. Brother King said it last week. He says, those people standing on the wall are the people who does this and that and say that you preach too long. Now, I'm not crazy. I don't want to hold you longer than what you need to be held. You know, I do want to consider that you're sitting long. I do consider that. And I have preached long, but I didn't say too long. I preach long. You're only going to remember 20% of what I tell you anyway. That goes into your long-term memory, and the 80% the short-term. Because I can tell you right now, probably a few of you can tell me what the name of my sermon was last week. Can you? Who can tell me? Raise your hand if you can tell me. That's right, I didn't preach. Jeff rose his hand. I'm letting everybody know. Love you, Jeff. That's love. Time management is important in these areas as well. Yeah, listen, if you're raising a family, you must have time for your kids. Because if you don't have time to raise your kids, guess what? Satan will have time to ruin your kids. You can't have kids and just let them raise themselves. Back in the day, they were called latchkey kids. Raising yourself. Mama, daddy got to work. You home by yourself. You listen, if you can't feed the babies or spend time with the babies, then don't have a baby. That's right. Yeah, don't. Kids can't raise themselves. Satan will raise them for you. Ephesians 6:4 says, and your fathers provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. Yeah, it's okay to teach that son how to ride a bike. It's okay to teach that girl how to sew. It's okay to teach both of your children how to cook, clean. It's okay to teach your son how to work on a car. But that's all just a waste of time if you can't equate them with God. Because half of the time they're going to grow up, they ain't going to cut the grass. They ain't going to work on their car. They're going to wait till somebody else do it. And then she ain't going to cook no way. She ain't going to learn how to cook no way. So what's worse is not learning how to do none of those things and not being acquainted with the Lord. That's a mess. That's what it is today. Raise your children in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. See, if you raise them like this, let me tell you something. If you sit them kids down, I know you have to have a time when you talk about the birds and the bees. Nowadays, we got to talk about the Steves and the Eves. But see, if you sit these children down and you raise them up with what the Lord said, then they won't have to go to school and have some teacher that tells them that you're not a boy, but you're a girl. And they'll be able to tell that teacher, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. But you just leave them out there in the world. I don't have time to raise my kids. You see? But you love little Bobby. You don't have time for little Bobby. Bobby grows up to be Furious Luke or somebody. Get in trouble and he's down there at the jailhouse. Now you got time to go see little Furious Luke. Raise them up. Spend time with them. You spend time with them. Mama, I've said this and I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it because it's good stuff. She said the one thing I like about Daniel Webster, he got all them children, but he spent time with them. He make time to spend time with his children. Because we can see him on the web. He's playing with his children. He's taking them to the beach. He's spending time with his children. And don't you know you are ingraining your children with memories that they won't forget. So the world the devil can't get in there and teach them something any different. Spend quality time with your spouse. Mm-hmm. This goes both ways. Because we tend to forget that a husband is a spouse. You know, you treat your wife, well, we need to be treated too. Let me say it louder. We need to be treated too. We want some gifts on Valentine's Day too. Candy always for you. I want some candy too. Yeah, you married one another. Yeah, you married one another. Treat your spouse right. And listen, and don't let your spouse define what is quality time. Because you can't live up to it. When they got these grandiose ideas about what's quality time. Listen, if you spending time with your spouse watching the Flintstones, that's quality time. Well, Flintstones? Yeah, the Flintstones. You don't know nobody in the United Nations, but you spend quality enough time to know that Fred, name is Fred, Wilma, Pebbles, and what's his best friend name? Barney. You don't know that. That's quality time you sat there. Jimmy Bam Bam. I know he worked down at the concrete place, at the rock place. And then the Slade, his boy named Slade. I spent that time learning all that. But that's not quality time. Y'all go down there and you buy you some Flintstone pajamas. Both of y'all get some Flintstone pajamas. Get you some of that Fruity Pebbles. Put them children in the bed. Watch you some Flintstones. Eat you some Fruity Pebbles and have a yabba dabba doo time. That's quality time. You be able to go to work and say, well, what y'all do this way? Well, me and my husband, then you know what people will say? Oh, I wish we could spend time like that. Then having your spouse to make you go broke to them like, well, I love for us to go to Paris. Paris. You ain't got enough money to go to Publix, and you want to go down there to Paris. Drain all your little money to save because you want to go into Parisian cafes and eat croissants. You better go down there to Winn-Dixie and buy you some bread, roast that thing, fry it, and sit down and eat. Yeah, burn, put in the toaster, and you got you some bread, put up them Christmas lights and stuff, and then you'll be there, you look at each other and say, oh, wee wee. You'll spend time together. Let me go on. Yeah, you're going to say, well, ooh, what kind of husband is he? Yeah, I've been with her 16 years. You say, well, I don't know. That was rough. No, it's not rough. She ain't all that bad. Let me move on. Yeah. Spend time on your health. Some of us spend more time at the table than on a treadmill, and it shows. You know why I can say that? Because I'm an expert in it. I'm going to tell you, I'm tired of being fat. I'm going to get me a Joel body this year. Next year, I'm going to get me one of them bodies where you can put your shirt in your pants, you look straight up and down. Yeah. Can't see your shoes and all that. Hold on. Can't tie your shoe. You got to buy everything. You got to slip on. I can't. I used to be a time I knew what it's like to cross my legs. Can't do that. In all seriousness, no. Take time on your health. We encumber various physical maladies from lack of exercising. But I don't have time. You have 168 hours a week. 72 at the most to exercise with 10 and a half hours a day. You got time. And that's 10 and a half hours, people, if you're working 40 hours. If you're sleeping 8 hours, you still got 28 hours to get on that treadmill or go for a walk. You want to look like that when you're 84? Nice and thin? Got to put some work into it. Get stuff done. Let's do something. Let's do something. Oh, have mercy. 5:16. You know why? Because we have to redeem the time. He says because the days are evil. It says in NIV, it says we're to make most of what? Every opportunity. Every opportunity, because time is fleeting. You know, you see Salvador Dali when he had the melting clocks. That's how time is. It's fleeting. And in a moment, you know, I've talked to many people that are now gone. People right here in this congregation, they're gone. And they were once sitting here listening to me preach, James preach, Brother D preach, talking about time one day is going to get us all, and they're gone. You ever seen that movie Life with Eddie Murphy? And you know, I love that movie. I like that movie. But at one point in the movie, you've seen a lot of the prisoners, they disappear off the screen. They're disappearing. And that's how it is in our life with people we know. They disappear. And guess what? And you going to be one of those people. But you better do something with the time that you have left. You have to. Listen, thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I come, Jesus says in John 10:10, that you may have life. And guess what? Have it to the fullest. Stop sitting around moping. Get with your spouse if you can. Now, it's okay to go to Paris if you got the money. It's okay to go to Italy and spend time. Go out there. It's a big world. Now, listen, there are nice people to meet. People you can grow and learn from. Cultured people. There are nice places to go. Museums, countries, different cities. There's so much in this world that's not evil that you need to take part in. God made it for you to enjoy it instead of sitting around moping, looking in each other's face and wondering why you even married each other. I'm serious. Go places. It changed your perspective in life. Go to other countries and you will love America. You won't come back here talking about it. Its life is full of life. And you don't have to go nowhere to have a good time. There's a lot you can do at your home with your family to have a great time. And we're going to have some great time next year with each other. We family. Ain't no time for us to want to be family when we leave from here, then we go be separated. We got to do better with that. We need to spend some time with each other. We don't know each other like we should. Ask me, I don't know some of y'all addresses. I got it down, but I don't know where some of you live. We're supposed to be family. Yeah. We got to stop all that. It's closing up. If we could only learn to manage the time allotted to us, life can be the sweetest gift that it was meant to be. Literally, we don't have time to waste. So let me put this in perspective, that you don't have time to waste. Let me put this in perspective on how time flies. You remember Sanford and Son? That show was on from 1972 to 77, 5 years. Okay, now listen. Sanford and Son was on the air from 72 to 77. That between the ages, my ages, 11 to 16 years old. You two and Brother Bell, we the same age. I watched that old gray-haired man and his son, Lamont, and his old other friends, Grady, and all of them, Bubba, Skillet, Skeet, whatever. And guess what? He was a gray-haired old man, and I said, look at old him. Can't walk right, walking all crazy, and he was old. And guess what? I'm now older than that gray-haired man. And that was just like yesterday I saw him. We're older than him. But let me give you a fact. That gray-haired man you saw on TV, that's why I know that now I'm older than that man. I'm 62. Well, don't you know that that man, Red Fox, was only 49 years old when he began to play Fred Sanford, and was just 56 when it ended. He was only, 54 when it ended. He wasn't as old as you thought he was. He just looked old. Yeah. But guess what? We say that old man on that TV with little children, we older than him right now, just like that. That's how time flies. That's how time flies. Do something, people. Because, see, you can't do what this lady's doing. She's trying to refill up the hourglass. You can't do it. Once it turns over and is emptied, time up. Oops, time up. That's it. Gonna happen to us all. Do something, people. Do something. Make your life count. Make church count. Do something. Another quote that Denzel said, he says, listen, if you do what you gotta do what you gotta do so that you can do what you wanna do. See, you can do what you wanna do when you do something. But you gotta do something first. And then there's time for you to relax where you don't have to do nothing at all. And you could be all right. There's something for you to do if you haven't done it. It's called the plan of salvation. Listen, it's getting too late in the game. The dawn of civilization in the world is about to close. The curtain of life is about to close on history and time. World is getting worse, not better. And you could be gone from here. And if you haven't taken on Jesus as your Lord and Savior, well, you know, time is fleeting. You only have so much time before you run out. And if you don't hear what the Lord has to say in Romans 10 and 17, by faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. If you don't believe, he says, without this belief, he says, in Hebrews 11:6, that you cannot please God. For all those who come after God must believe that he exists and that he is the reward of those who diligently seek after him and believe that he exists. And then he says, you're going to have to repent, because he says, now when you come to me, he says, I know you ain't right. And that person is going to share the gospel with you, going to tell you what you shouldn't be doing. But it also gives a warning. He about a couple people there, a couple places that met with destruction. And he said the same thing's going to happen to you if you don't repent. And then he said you need to confess. Don't worry about them other ministers out there. You're not confessing to them or for them or to them or about them. You're confessing to God. If you make that mouth of confession that Jesus is Lord, and that Jesus died and he was resurrected, but now he lives, and that he's your master. He says, if you believe that and you make that mouth of confession, he says, then you'll say. But we know you got to do this last thing here. You got to get baptized. If Jesus says it was okay to do in Acts chapter 4 or 3, and then we see it done in Acts 9 and 10 and 8 and forward, then you know that's something that to be done. Jesus says it is proper to do it, to fulfill all righteousness. And if you need to do that, don't waste your 168 hours. Don't waste your time right now. Let's get up and get it done and go on home to Jesus.